What's up, guys? We've made it. We've officially reached the very first 2026 team preview. We are starting with the Colorado Rockies, like I've teased in every episode leading up to this of the show. I'm going to be doing one for every team every day, Monday through Friday, leading up to opening day, culminating with an awards prediction episode on opening day. These are fun. If you followed me at all last year, I was planning on doing something like this. It fell through the cracks, so I created a Substack and I delivered all of my team previews in writing. Did one for every team, same as this, Monday through Friday, leading up to opening day. Met a lot of cool people doing that. Got a lot of different interactions and feedback from many people that I know and don't know, and pretty much all of which positive. So I wanted to do it again, and believe me, it's a lot easier to talk about it than it is to write about it. I do love writing, don't get me wrong, but talking is so much easier. You can deliver the information so much quicker, and it saves time. I do want to say, before I get into anything, I do, because I'm a one-man show, I do have a partner now. I have officially partnered with W Energy. I will post a link to their site in the description below. Use code BATBOY to get 10% off. I haven't tried this stuff yet. I have ordered my little starter pack, and it should be here probably the end of this week. Actually, as of airing of this episode, I might have it, but by recording time, I don't. So maybe a couple previews before I actually get to talk about the quality of the product. But for now, if you like energy drinks like me, I drink probably 3 a day. Go to W Energy. Get you some 10% off energy drinks. Alright, let's get into it. So I want to give a quick kind of rundown of how these work. I haven't talked about that yet. So basically what I do, very briefly talk about last year's performance for the team, talk about who was added, who they lost. Then I go into some of the spring training things that I'm going to be looking for, things that we can watch. Because spring training, especially the first few weeks, is not easy to watch if you're not a big fan of baseball, because it's a lot of people you don't know that are vying for a spot on the 40-man and then vying for a spot on the 25-man. It's not for everybody. I'll be honest, it's not. There's a lot of people that you don't know. It's just there's so many players that are there, and the teams are trying to get a sense of who is ready for the big leagues and who isn't. I'm going to give you a rundown of some things to look for there, so you can watch if it's your favorite team. There may be some guys you don't know about if you're not as deep in the weeds. Maybe it is guys you've heard of. Who knows? But that's what I'm here for. Then I will go into position battles. Some teams have some serious battles that are left to be decided, and that's some things that we can watch for. Some teams don't have any. Honestly, you look at a team like the Yankees, spoiler alert, they probably don't have any position battles really to monitor, because they're basically trotting out the exact same teams they did last year. But we'll get into that come Yankees Day. But there are times where that little section will be blank. Most of the teams in the first half to 2/3 of this series will have position battles, because the teams just aren't. If you're not a playoff team and you're not the Dodgers or the Mets, there's going to be spots that are up for grabs. So we'll talk about that. Then we'll go into a player focus. So I pick a player from each team that I really just want to focus on. I'm going to try to pick a player that I didn't use last year. For some teams, it might be tough because there's just a specific player that either didn't live up to expectations last year and I want to talk about it again, or exceeded expectations of last year and I want to talk about it again. I don't know. We'll see. But I'm going to try to do someone different. So if there's a player in particular that you want to read about or hear about, you can check to see if I did it last year. Lastly, I will give you a outlook for 2026, somewhat of a prediction of how I think they're going to do, where I think they're going to finish. And that's it. I'm not going to go through this every time, so that's 5 minutes that will be lessened in the 29 future previews. But for those of you that didn't read my content last year, you don't know how these work. So, wanted to give you that rundown. Let's jump into it. The 2025 Rockies. We all know, any baseball fan knows how disastrous the 2025 Rockies were. It was record-breakingly bad. They went 43 and 119. Obviously came in last place in their division. Were entirely uncompetitive. I would love to see this team leave Colorado to give the pitching staff any sort of chance to even be competitive. Because the pitching staff was woefully bad last year, but it's pretty much bad every year because it's so hard to pitch 81 of your games in that altitude. It's just, you look at a guy like Chase Dollander, who was one of the highest touted pitching prospects coming up. But because you land in Colorado and because you're going to be making most likely half of your starts in Colorado, you're never going to reach the potential that you could have reached. And that's unfortunate because he is a stud. If he came up in Miami, I bet you we'd be talking about him going into his second year now, potentially being a top 100 player in the sport. Not the case. I would love to see them leave. Colorado's a big sports town, or sports state. Denver is a big sports town. So, doubt they're going to leave there. Obviously, this is just me rambling, but it would be nice for competitive sake for them to get out of that city. All right, so they have made a couple moves, and a couple good moves, actually. They added utility player, he infield / outfielder. He basically plays all the infield spots minus short. Actually, he can play a little bit of short. He plays pretty much everywhere except for center. Let's just say that. And catcher. Willie Castro. They signed him for 2 years, $12.8 million. I do think this is very Thairo Estrada 2.0. They did that last year, signing Estrada as basically the same type of player, utility infielder. He got hurt, missed most of the season. They only signed him for 1 year, so they just said, see you later. Signed Willie Castro, who I think is actually better, and he's probably going to play every day at various positions. They also signed starting pitcher Michael Lorenzen for 1 year, $8 million, and they received Jake McCarthy, the outfielder from the Diamondbacks. They lost shortstop Orlando Arcia and first baseman Michael Toglia. I don't think either of those are going to make a big impact. And I think the 3 signings will make a big impact. Michael Lorenzen's a very good starting pitcher. Again, going into Colorado, pitching half your games there. Who knows if he's going to be anywhere close to what he was. Don't know. Jake McCarthy is a very good outfielder. He had a huge season a couple years ago and has fallen off ever since. But the potential's there. And as a batter going to Colorado, you can see a spike in your performance, unlike the pitchers who generally see a decline. Alright, so some of the things in spring training I am going to watch for. Brenton Doyle and Ezekiel Tovar, who pretty much are the driving force of this team. I'm not going to get too deep into Doyle for reasons you will find out in a few minutes. Ezekiel Tovar, I thought he was going to be a breakout candidate for 2025. Injuries kind of got in the way of that. He hurt his hip in the opening series of last season. I think he was like diving, I don't know if it was defensively or sliding offensively. I didn't check before I got on here, but I know he hurt it diving and ended up missing a month. And then he strained his left oblique in June and ended up missing another month. So in total, he played 95 games, but even with the 95 games he played, he didn't play well. Could be because he wasn't fully 100%. We don't know. He hit .253, 9 home runs, 33 RBIs, 5 stolen bases, OPS plus of 83 after 100 in 2024. He led the major leagues in doubles in 2024 with 45. I really thought he was going to break out and be one of the top 6 or 7. Had to do that for my kids. I bet they'll get enjoyment out of that. Top 6 or 7 shortstops in Major League Baseball. That didn't come to fruition, but maybe it can happen again. We'll see. Also, a guy that may not be on your radar that I am really excited to watch in spring training this year, Cole Carrig. He's a 23-year-old outfielder with incredible energy, and which is a weird thing to say. That has nothing to do with your performance on the field, but literally quoted by Major League scouts as he was being scouted that he plays with his hair on fire. Literally just a ball of energy just running into walls just all over the place, which could be good, could be bad. You could be prone to injury by playing that way, but then again, it gets your teammates fired up. You generally play better when you're in it 100% of the time. In the minors in 2025, he had 18 doubles, 6 triples, 15 home runs. Extra base hit machine. He only played 115 games. So you got over 40 extra base hits in 115 games. That's almost every other game. You're getting something. 64 RBIs and 46 stolen bases. So he's got incredible speed. He had 53 stolen bases in 2024. This guy is a monster. Defensively, he's great. Offensively, he's got some pop. He's got incredible speed. And getting into Colorado, generally speaking, we can see an uptick in some of that power, because even the minor leaguers, they don't get to play in the same altitude. Like, the minor leaguers go from single A, double A, triple A to Coors Field, and all of a sudden those 12 to 15 home runs turn into 18 to 20 home runs. We could see that. If we see that plus that speed, yeah, we're looking at a stud offensively until he ultimately gets traded, which is what Colorado does, and he goes to another city and comes back down to earth, literally comes back down to sea level and goes right back to being mediocre, which is what most of the Rockies do when they leave. Not all, but the Arenados, the Tulowitzkis, the Trevor Storys, the DJ LeMahieus, they have been good elsewhere. They have been good elsewhere. They have not been able to put up the numbers that they put up at Coors Field. And that's just natural. It's going to happen. 2024, however, was his best minor league season. And that's saying something because he played pretty well in 2025. But I'm curious to see. It's a guy that he's on the 40-man. So that's a guy that I would like to watch. I'm going to check into some. I already got my subscription to MLB At Bat. I'll be watching Colorado Rockies games just to watch him. Position battles. And see what I mean? When you're the worst team in Major League Baseball, you have some battles for some spots. You have some positions up for grab. And the biggest one I see is at second base. Adael Amador. I could be butchering that name, and I apologize to him if I did. He is supposed to be the second baseman. He is projected to be the second baseman. 23-year-old was awful in the majors last year, but he's had a really good minor league career. Last year, he's still technically a rookie because his 148 at-bats didn't reach the 150 threshold, so he's technically still a rookie. But 148 at-bats, that's still a good 40 to 50 games. And he hit 176 in Colorado for some of them. However, in 80 games in the minors 2025, so he was bouncing back and forth a little bit. In 80 games in the minors, he had 303 with 11, 59, 20 stolen bases. He had more walks and strikeouts. He's solid defensively. He's not great, but he's very average. So he's not going to hurt you at second base. I really want to see him get a full season. However, I don't think he's going to, because there's a couple other guys here that are a little better. But I am interested to see, because like I said, he's had a very good minor league career, but that taste of the major leagues did not sit well. But it happens to a lot of people. The majority of the people struggle in their debut season, because it's usually not a full season. It's usually not a consistent playing time worth of games. It's just you're kind of bouncing up to fill in for an injury, then you bounce back down, and blah, blah, blah. I'd like to see him get a full run. They also have Ryan Ritter, 25-year-old, evenly split time between second and short in 2025, so he's got some multi-positional eligibilities. He had 241 with 61 strikeouts and 187 at-bats. That's a lot of strikeouts. That's over 30% strikeout rate. However, 241 average, a little bit better than 176, and he's much better defensively. He's, I would say, if he's going to play out for a full season, he's one of the better defensive second basemen in the major leagues. He also, ironically, hit 303 in the minors in 2025, which is weird. It's hard to hit the same average as somebody else, especially someone else on your team. Hit 4 the same average. Very good minor league hitter, 16 home runs, 50 RBIs. Had 3 stolen bases last year, but had 37 each of the 2 years before, or combined in the 2 years before, excuse me. So he's got potential to steal bases. He got a little bit more pop in his bat. 11 or 16 home runs in 55 games. I mean, that's showing some power. And you throw that in Colorado, I wouldn't mind seeing him too. But ultimately, who I think is going to be the starting second baseman most of the time, as well as bouncing around the field depending on injuries, depending on this, that, and the other, Willie Castro. We talked about him in the beginning. Had a very good, had a pretty good 2025 as a utility infielder. Did have his worst OPS plus since 2022 at 89, which is a little bit below average. But had played 120 games, 11 home runs, 33 RBIs, 10 stolen bases. He played 10 games at 4 different positions and then played 5 games at 2 others. He plays second, third, short, left, center, first. He plays everywhere. He's just that type of guy. And teams have a need for that type of guy. He's valuable in his own right. There's a reason why he's not playing full-time, yet he's going to sign a deal for $13 million. That's a valuable thing to have because the injury bug is going to strike somewhere for every team, every season. And you have one player that can fill virtually every spot. There's value in that. There's a lot of value in that. He was an all-star in 2024 also. He had 150 games. Stats were very similar to his stats over the course of 120 games last year. So I don't really understand why he was voted an all-star. Could be a replacement. I didn't really dive into it. I didn't care all that much, to be quite honest. But he does have an all-star appearance under his belt. Player focus time. The reason I didn't talk about Brenton Doyle before is I would like to talk about Brenton Doyle now. I did mention in the intro that I didn't want to do repeat player focuses. However, we're starting off with a bang. I did Brenton Doyle last year, but he irritated me and disappointed me so much that I wanted to talk about him again. I thought he was going to be on the path of Jarren Duran entering that third year explosion. Did not happen. He was bad last year. Bad. 2024 OPS plus of 102. 2025 OPS plus of 72. In essentially the same amount of games. 149 and 24 to 138 and 25. Essentially the same. Average went from 260 to 233. Home runs 23 to 15. RBI 72 to 57. Stolen base 30 to 18. Just a drop off every which way. He had back-to-back gold gloves in 23-24. Wasn't a finalist in 2025. However, he did have similar defensive numbers. I think there was just better fielders. Ultimately, PCA won. Pete Crow Armstrong from the Cubs. But, it's just... They see how bad the offense was, how little of a effect he's having on the team's success. You're not going to get Gold Glove votes, just like you're not going to get Silver Slugger. You're not going to get votes for that when you're not helping your team win. If you win 43 games, you're not going to get looked at for anything. Let's be honest, why would you? How valuable can you be when your team is setting records for most losses? I was expecting the Jarren Duran third year. Didn't happen. Maybe we'll see it this year. Maybe if we get a healthy Tovar the entire season, maybe the two of them can feed off each other because they're probably the two best players on the team. Hopefully we can see that. 2026 is a big season for him. He's a big season for him. Cole Carrig can easily slot into center field. If his bat progresses into Coors Field like a lot of the guys in the minors that hit the way Cole Carrig hits, Brenton Doyle, you're playing for something this year. He needs to show that he's the center fielder of the future. You're entering arbitration now. You need to show that you're worth something to Colorado. Zach Veen is another one. That's another minor leaguer in their system who is ready for the big leagues, most likely, and can play very good defensive center field. And you can get him up there. He's cheaper. He's younger. Probably not better yet, but maybe he will be. And Brenton Doyle could be a trade chip for people that think that they can fix whatever is causing his hitting woes. ...2026 outlook. Not great, Bob. Not great, Bob. Do I think they're going to lose 119 games again? Probably not. Do I think they're going to lose like 112? Probably. This team is bad. There's no way around it. And to be quite honest with you, I don't really know a path for them to really ever be good, because it's so hard to put a pitching staff together. It's just so hard. And it's so hard to get pitchers to sign, knowing what it's going to do to your career. I'm surprised Michael Lorenzen did it. That has to show you what his market looked like, because pitchers usually don't run to Colorado unless they pay you some money. Ubaldo Jimenez, I'm looking at you, sir. It's not worth it, because it's career suicide to go pitch there. But outlook is not good. Not good. That's all I got. Tomorrow, we will be out with the White Sox. Until then, go to the description below. Go to W Energy. Get yourself some energy drinks. Maybe buy yourself a shaker, a tumbler, something like that. Use the code BATBOY. Get 10% off. And I will see you tomorrow.